Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of 2-Bit Talks. Today we are going to be talking about the possible PS5 coming out in 2019. Now, we've talked about this at least twice before, and essentially there's been a news flying around the internet. You actually saw it too in your news feed about the PS5 because some industry analyst, a guy who gets paid to just say, I think they're going to do this, is essentially, I'm going to put that out there now.
Yeah.
Pretty much what we
do for free.
What we do for free, this guy gets paid to do. Must be nice.
Yeah.
But he had been essentially using his, how he's seen how the industry works and everything, has said that Sony will be coming out with the PS5 in 2019 and that it's going to be true 4K gaming and all of that good stuff and everything that's going to be with it. The problem I have with this is a couple of things. One, the PS4 Pro came out last year.
Right.
Why would you, after spending money on development of it and, marketing, and then you release the thing, why would you only 2-3 years into that, the Pro's lifespan, come out with the PS5?
Right.
Like, these people are literally, and there was a guy who before this guy had said that 2018 that they were going to announce it at E3 and the PS5 was going to come out in 2018 because they believe these guys have it in their head. Oh, they're going with the mobile market thing where it's every 2 years and all that. And it's just like it's a different beast. You just can't copy and paste and force things into us. I think the consoles into a certain thing. I think it has changed. Instead of it being every 6 to 7 years, we might be looking at it in every 4 to 5 years now. That's my personal opinion. But again, like I said, why would Sony do that? I think Sony's going to give the Pro a nice little run, and then we'll probably see the PS5 in 2020 or 2021.
Well, really, you're splitting hairs at that point. The difference of a year or two, but
yeah.
I mean, isn't the PS4 Pro still considered part of the PS4 family?
Yeah, and then the Xbox One X is still considered part of.
So would this guy not be accurate to judge from the point that the PS4 actually launched to say that's the point where I start counting to when the PS5 comes out, regardless of the iterations in between? I mean, PS4 Pro is a big leap, but it's still just a powerful iteration of the PS4 family. Just like PS2 Slim,
Then again, you're forgetting the resources and money they put into this. It's one thing to say, yes, it's still a part of the PS4, so using traditional logic, this is the PS4 family, and it's still going to have a traditional lifespan, 7 years, and then once we hit about the 7th year, we come out with our new console, and then we support the old console for another 2-3 years, and then we send it off into the sunset. But the difference is with this new iteration is significant. Like the PS4 Pro is while it's not a giant leap, this guy actually did have a good point. He said the PS4 Pro is a half step towards the next generation, and Sony's going to take another half step when they make the PS5, which I agree with. They'll take another half step, or
they'll call it the PS4 Pro 2.
Yeah, Pro 2. True. Sony, please stick with your original way of doing things. Yes, it is so unoriginal and bland and boring, but at least you know how to count.
Yeah.
Xbox doesn't.
That's true.
They go from Xbox to Xbox 360 to Xbox One. Sony, at least you have decent arithmetic.
Or if you're gonna eschew the numbering theme, just switch to something cool like zodiac signs or like colors or
characters from the Matrix. Neo, the PS4 or the PS Neo is going to be its original. And then the VR was called Morpheus. I don't even know if Sony owns the Matrix, but they were kind of going for something there.
Maybe.
But no,
make it official.
Here's another problem too. I'm not too knowledgeable on chipsets and how long it takes them to, become affordable, but like we're looking at what bothers me about this is the 2019 thing is also the Xbox One X on its own is 40% more powerful than the PS4 Pro as
Really?
far as hardware, what's under the engine, and all that. And here's my question then, because if the PS5 comes out, I'm guessing they're planning to have it compete with the Xbox One X.
Or the Xbox, whatever the newest Xbox would be. Because they usually launch in the same year, right? Or at least close to each other.
But why would Microsoft do that after they're coming out with the Xbox One X? Here's the problem. Yes, these are just iterations of the current generation. But these are significant. Like, this isn't just like this isn't like generations before where Sony comes out with the slim model. Like, you guys can't see it, but over there you see my PS3. You know, that's like the really slim model, and they had a slim model and all that. And maybe they do a few little, tweaks here and there, but all in all, it's the same fucking PS3 as the original big fat PS3.
Right.
That's about as far as iterations have gone. This generation, these have been like significant, changes under the shell of the console. And so that's not cheap, is what I'm saying. And investors are going to want their money's worth from it. They're going to be like, well, why did you... You're approaching Sega territory from the 90s, where Sega was like, let's do the Sega CD and the Sega 32X. Oh, and then we got the Saturn. But then forget about the Saturn, we got the Dreamcast. And
right.
If you start to do a
hardware is not a cheap thing to develop and make.
Yeah.
Usually companies will lose money on the hardware that they make.
Yeah.
Because they know that they're going to make it up on software.
And if you keep coming out with too much too soon, consumers lose confidence in your product. And they'll be like, I don't really want to upgrade. I'm happy with, I just got the PS4 Pro, and now 2.5 years later, you're wanting me to buy a new PlayStation. It'll be the same, I think, if Xbox does that. If they come out with the Xbox One X, the PS5 launches in 2019, and then the next year, Microsoft's like, we got the new Xbox. It'll be like, really? I just bought
Plus, you're kind of killing that vibe that I, at least for me, I used to get from a new console launch, because you would, like when it went from the Xbox to Xbox 360, it was a huge leap. Yeah. Now, the Xbox One looked great. Now the Xbox One S, has some 4K and HDR. Now the Xbox One X is another incremental upgrade that makes it look better, but you don't have, since it's incremental, it's less noticeable. So if they would have went from Xbox One, waited until even the Xbox One X or a one generation after that, and just went from the Xbox One to the next generation, then it would have seemed like a bigger jump than two or three slightly more powerful consoles along the way. I mean, it saves money in the long run when you're not having to develop and make that hardware. Yeah, and another point, or another thing I just thought of too when you were saying that, going back to with Sony, if this is what it turns into, Xbox One X comes out this year, a year, 2 years later, Sony comes out with a new hardware, and then Xbox comes out with another one a couple of years later. If it just becomes a one-upmanship contest, that's not a good route, I think, for Sony, because Sony doesn't have a whole lot of money, especially compared to Microsoft. Now, you could say Microsoft might go, oh, we're tired of this, we're not going to invest in this anymore, and that could happen. I doubt it, because a lot of money they've made this past year is in the cloud. Right. Which is also linked to their, game, not completely linked to their gaming. Other people use the cloud too, but it's just because their Xbox One is not selling as much as the PlayStation does not mean Microsoft is raking in the dough on their gaming division. They're actually making a lot of money. So I don't see them ending it. So if it becomes that type of a contest, Sony I don't think in the long run could afford to just, because it costs money to buy these chipsets and to develop this, and that's the point I was going to say. How much more powerful is your PS5 going to be compared to your competition when it's really realistically only 2.5 years, not even 3 years after your competition released? Yeah. There's not going to be too much difference in the chipsets. Right. I think that's why I think they're going to wait, because they're doing fine where they're at, and I think they're going to wait until, we get into the 2020s, and then some newer chipsets have come out, and they become a little bit cheaper for them to, But then you'll need $1,100 TV to play that system on.
Yeah, sure. And also, I didn't mention this in the article, but it did say that this analyst thinks Sony is waiting for 4K TVs to reach 50% in the American market, and what would it be, like 30% or something worldwide? Like Sony's waiting on 4K to really become mainstream before they jump into the 4K gaming thing.
Right.
And that might be true too. And he's estimating that 4K by 2019 will be in that realm, and that's when Sony will launch their.
We're just now starting to see 4K Blu-rays come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, when it comes out on Blu-ray, it's going to be one of Disney Marvel's first 4K releases.
Yeah.
Home releases. So we're not even there yet. We're still in like an early adopter phase when it comes to 4K and HD capable gaming systems, because if I bought one, I wouldn't be able to really tell how great it was unless I went out and bought a 4K HDR TV. Which
is why with the Xbox One X, they've even set it as super sampling down to your 1080p TV to really sharpen the image just on your 1080p. So it's yes, they're looking forward and going, hey, we have a true 4K gaming device, but also this is going to make, because they realize not everyone's going to have a 4K TV. So this is going to, improve your 1080p.
I'm not saying it's worthless unless you have a 4K TV. I'm just saying, like, this is one of the reasons to get a 4K TV, along with more 4K content. It's coming. As more content is put out there, more people will adopt that 4K TV, and more people will start investing in it.
I just don't. But that's the thing. I can see Sony waiting to that point, but I just there's also something you also risk, because you can look at what Sony did with the PlayStation 2. They entered the market around 2001. But then the GameCube and the Xbox came out a year later and were way more powerful. Or at least the Xbox was way more powerful than the PS2. And I would argue the GameCube, while not as powerful as the Xbox, was definitely, had a lot more power under its hood. And I thought, had a better, the games anyway, were graphically,
plus it was a cube.
It was a cube. No, I was going to say graphically, what's the word I'm looking for? Not graphically defined, but just an old saying, it was more graphical than the PS2.
It had more bits.
It had more bits. But the PS2 still dominated that generation. So sometimes it's not always who has the most powerful hardware, it's who gets in the market first, which is also why I'm not confident that the Xbox One X necessarily is going to steamroll the PS4 Pro.
Right.
The PS4 Pro came out first, and it could start selling like hotcakes. So, and that would be another reason where Sony would turn around and go, why should we come out with the PS5 now? The PS4 Pro is doing great.
Right.
So anyway, that's just all my rantings on it. I had a lot to say about that. Sorry about that, guys. Let us know in the comment section below what you think. Is the PS5 going to be coming out, soonish? How do you feel about that if consoles start coming out like every 2.5, 3 years? I can tell you I don't like it for one. And as always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Stay safe. Play on.